Thanks, Bernie, on your talk of freedom and forgiveness. I am a story of freedom and forgiveness. I've wrote this down several times, but I'm hoping not to read it as to more tell you a story. Last week I came to see John because something I hadn't thought about for years and years was keeping me up at night. I couldn't sleep, so I came to see him. He's talked about church being family and how we can share with family. So he has talked several times about his experiences growing up, so I was compelled to talk to him about mine. He's talked about the Lord sending Moses to see Pharaoh, and Moses is complaining, saying, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I don't know what to say. But God says, I will go with you and tell you what to say. So I'm hoping today I have the words for you. I've suffered depression my entire life. Yeah. My youngest brother was born when I was 9. He's a special needs child. He's Down syndrome and all the difficulties that go with that. Going into grade 4, we moved to a new town and me to a new school. I was teased, I was bullied, I was beaten up at school and on the way home because of what kids would say about my brother. It got me into a lot of trouble. My mom went into a period of deep depression and withdrew. Dad worked his day job. He worked nights and weekends. I think that was his way of coping with the situation we were in. So basically from 10 years on, we were looking after ourselves, and yeah, you could get into trouble. From the 8th grade through high school, my dad took me with him on his evening and weekend jobs. He was not a patient man, and seemed like nothing I did was good enough for him. Be enough to break any kid's spirit. I grew up angry, detached, mean. After we got married, I still struggled. Was laid off from several jobs and one factory due to a closing because of recessions. I had a small family, young family, and was not able to provide the way I needed to, and I spiraled out of control. I became mean and angry, I think continuing the cycle of my dad with my kids. We had lots of fights in our early years and arguments, but we tried to keep them away from our kids. We tried counseling at one point, but I stopped going because I was angry with that as well. Brady, I want to say thank you to you for your work with your students to bring awareness to mental health in the schools. Depression is a leading cause of suicide. I know because I tried. One day when Helen was at a session, I left a note with the reception saying I was going home to sleep and never wake up. I went through the medicine cabinet and I took a bottle of pills and went to bed. Before they had their full effect, there was a pounding on the front door. I managed to get downstairs to see who it was. Well, there was the ambulance and the police. Helen had gotten a hold of them. They took me to the hospital, and I was treated there. And then for the next month or so, I was in the psychiatric ward for observation and being watched over. A couple years later down the road on a Sunday morning, something set me off, and we had a horrible, horrible fight. Our daughter Mel tried to get in the middle of us and try and calm things down. It wasn't working, so she was going to call the police. I had my hand on her neck prevent her from calling. Our son Matt then came and tried to get between us. I smacked him with my fist, and I loosened some teeth. My relationship with my family was destroyed. While driving around that morning, trying to come to grips with what I was done, I was pulled over by the police and arrested. I was put in a jail cell for the rest of the afternoon and that evening. I was not allowed to return home because of my actions. I had to find a new place to stay. Made several calls, and I ended up staying with a guy from work for a few months. I spent time with my sisters, my oldest brother, and eventually a friend and elder from a former church that we had gone to. We were apart for about a year and a half. We maintained contact occasionally through the phone, and things were like that. Helen and the kids had every reason to send me on my way. But they didn't. They stuck with me when they didn't have to. One day Helen said that they were going to a local church to see a play, and if I wanted to come. I said, no, I'm not coming, because I didn't want to be a distraction to anybody. I eventually did go, but I sat in the back. The play was called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. The play was based on where would you be today if you died, heaven or hell. That was a wake-up call to me. I went forward and dedicated my life to God. Things started to get better, and eventually I moved back home. I got on some meds that helped, but when I was feeling good, I would stop, and things would get out of control again. When things started to get better, I came across a song. Oh, I think I'm way out of here. Some people have songs that they would say, this is what a song that we had when we were dating. Some people would say, this is a song for our wedding. To me, this is my life song. It's called Go Ask. I'm just going to pull out a few lines instead of the whole thing, but you'll get the idea of it. Go ask the man whose burned out mind has been restored. Go ask the child who has a dad to wipe away the tears they had. Go ask the man whose churning heart was quieted when all communication was destroyed. They answered all three of those questions when this man Jesus touched my life. I only know he touched my eyes, and nothing else will ever be the same. I now have a medication that works for me. Am I perfect? Oh, goodness, no. I still have blue days and dark days. But for the past 25 years, I've been on this path, and with God's help, I will continue. Are my relationships with Helen and my kids perfect? Also no, but I try. They have enough faith and trust in me to ask me for my help with their home projects and vehicles when they have problems, and I will continue to try to be the dad they need. John has said many times we are family and do life together. Probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do came this week. I sat down with Mel and I told her I was sorry for all the pain and hurt that I've put these kids through, and asked for forgiveness. I hugged her tight and she just cried. She explained to me all the pain and the hurt that they had because of the pain and hurt that they could see in my eyes, and they were not able to help. The biggest pain for those two kids was when they sat down the police on that Sunday morning way back and told them what I had done to have me arrested. If you're struggling, please find somebody you can trust and talk to them. Whether that be your youth group, a ladies group, a Bible study, whatever it is, find somebody, do life together. Helen and I have had a couple that have done life with us for 40 years. They've seen the good and the bad that we've been through. So please, find that person, do life together. Why me, Lord? What have I ever done? Guys, come up, I'm just about done. Why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the blessings you've shown? God's amazing grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior, has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace.